Hey guys, welcome back to the farm. Hey, in the barnyard amongst the land of the giants. I never really explained to you how much milk these cows went up on after switching to a TMR. First, hope you all had a good Christmas, rolling in the new year. Very mild. It's gonna be mild next couple weeks going into the new year. So kind of happy about that, but that's got its challenges too. This temperature change got my voice a little squeaky and puffing and puffing a little bit, so bear with me. If you've been with the channel for a while, we've been making videos since 2018, so if you've been with me since then, you know the full transition. But if not, I fed using 5 silos, 2 haylage, 2 corn silage, 1 grain, and decided I wanted to make a change and do a TMR. I went to a lot of different farms, 20, 21, 22, and seen how they're feeding. We just weren't getting the milk. And the silos were they were becoming a hassle. And with more and more of them falling down, if you guys are online, I put these videos on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all the other things, and you follow it, you see where people will show you a silo just completely fall down. These are from the 70s, 80s, they're deteriorating. I just knew it wasn't safe. So long story short, I started trying to lay the groundwork. We were putting more cows on, not a ton more, but a few more, milking up to 160, 170. So we were putting a couple corn silage bags. We ended up buying a cheap ag bagger. Still got it. And that cow's laying half in the stall. And it was working for us. I was feeding the overflow out of an old John Deere 716 feeder wagon, pulling up next to the belt feeder. Well, the main reason we made this, I got it going accelerated, and that involved taking this silo down. I'll explain to you what that cost and what everything costs, just to let you know, and how fast we could potentially make that money back with the increase. Cut a hole in the barn. That was all this spring. But at the time, that belt feeder's pretty good, but there's a long conveyor, and that spanned 3 silos, over 3 silos. That was gonna have to be replaced. It was all wore out. That was 10 grand alone. I'd already checked with our silo guy, Pat's dealer. 10 grand for that, and this belt feeder here was way outdated. I actually ripped it out and scrapped it. It's over there in our scrap trailer. I priced one of them. That was another 10 grand. See, we're talking $10,000 to just keep doing what you were doing. And these silo loaders, they were getting there. Replaced a lot of the motors on them and the blowers, but the whole main thing was these foundations getting pitted, and I just seen it. They're starting to come down after you fill them. They start to settle, and you don't want to be around them, or you don't want to be in them when they come down. And so that was before front was the safety. But so I knew it was going to cost me 20 grand to do what I wanted to do. So we bought that mixer, bought a Luck Now. I think I got that for 6 grand. And I started dumping into that conveyor and feeding just until the master plan was to line up the silo, man. I finally got them locked in to do it. 3 grand to tear that down. I gave him the roof for it, a couple other things, but 3 grand. And boy, did he get that thing down. So that's kind of knowing that was the conveyor and the belt feeder was going to be 20. I was going to try to get a belt or a mixer once that was done, that was used, slightly used, and guys are like, man, you buy a used mixer, it's like buying a used manure spreader. So I said, okay, well, I was going to spend 20 some, and I was going to spend 20 on the mixer. Well, I just saved 20. Let's just buy a brand new one. So the new mixer was $42,000. $3,000 to take silo down. I had to buy a loader to load it. The skid steers won't reach up in there. And if you ever used a loader like what I'm using, that Gale, I really like that. It's got that front reach, articulates. You can use it for a lot of other things besides just mix and feed. I mean, I was pushing the snow with it, but so the loader, the silo coming down, and the new mixer, that's $60,000 that added up to. Gravelled about 1 acre. That was 10 grand. So you're talking $70,000 now. I got my notebook here because I don't want to leave anything out. Bear with me. Hey, you hear them geese moving in. Them geese they're still up here. I don't know when they're flying south, but I just want to reiterate, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do. I'm not trying to tell you what's right or wrong. Every farm's different, obviously. I'm just telling you what I did and what's working for me. And that was getting away from them things. So yeah, and also the bags per year, $6,000 for all these bags every year. The cost of these bags, I'm pretty much offsetting that and calling that a wash with maintenance parts on them things and a reduction in your electric bill. I'm calling the bags a wash. But as far as anything else, once I started mixing that feed together, I noticed the cows are just bigger, stronger, healthier, fleshier. A buddy of mine likes to say. Then I wasn't able to really mix it at all. So now I'm mixing the mineral and the salt in there. Where am I at? Oh, every year using them silos, we were short on hay. I'd have to be chopping in the spring. I'd be about bone empty, and I'd start with that fresh stuff. Well, since I'm laying all these pads down, I've got six weeks to a month, 6 weeks to 2 months carryover now. It was instant. Same with the corn silage, 2 months carryover. You know, when you're chopping first cutting in one of them, and then you've got to crank it back up mid-second cutting to fill it. That's the problem with stave silo. You're feeding out a green feed every time you chop. You don't stop feeding out of it, and it throws the cows off. It's never a consistent ration, and they drop in milk. They crap. They got the craps and diarrhea. And I've learned you want them to be consistent. So we went up 6 pounds per cow. By the time I started running that grain out and dumping it in the TMR and having it all the right weights, it equates to about 2,700 to 3,000 pounds a day. So 27,000 or 30,000 extra pounds per month. At that $60,000 we spent, 70 on counting the gravel pad. You minus that by the 20 grand you're gonna have to spend on the conveyor. So we're 50,000 in the hole. My calculations is with the increased milk, depending on the price, right now it's down. If we had higher milk price, it'd be even faster. 14-month payoff. And it's not even, it's about the numbers, about the money. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say it's not about that, but it's about the safety. I haven't felt this great. Been doing this for almost 2 years as we transition. It's our second full year putting it on the ground, but really I've been really doing it driving in since the spring. And it's been a eye-opening experience. My body hasn't felt any better, to be honest, in the mental part of it. Maintaining these silos, it's like I said, it's possible. I could have kept going on and doing it as long as it needed to be done. But this way now, I was just telling my nephew Jack this morning, he's 18. I'm gonna get him starting to mix them loads for me. It's all the feel of that bucket, you know, you don't want to rip that bottom of the bag. But so that's our experience of it. Now starting this is step by step. I finally got away from that silo down at the dry cow lot. I don't want my brother in that thing either, so we put up one big bag down there. So we completely eliminated 6 silos in 2 years. Now there's still about 5 foot in this one. And I just poured that. That's where my new dry corn is going to go in that barn, that commodity shed. Dry corn and mineral and salt. This worked. Like I said, it's blowing all over heck out here, you know, and when it's windy. But this is what you're seeing. There's actually some beans. I seen some soybeans in here. At some point we must have dumped some soybeans in, but that don't look too bad. It really don't. That's pretty much dry anyway. But you're gonna see some full kernels. They're not getting anything out of that. So it's pretty much a waste of feed. You're growing it, and this is how I looked at it. You're growing it, you're fertilizing it, excuse me. You're harvesting it, you're spraying it, you're harvesting it. You're putting it in here. not getting it ground properly, and they're crapping it right out. You want to talk about a complete waste of money, waste of time. I'm going to be paying more. I got my own corn banked that they're bringing in, but they're charging you, they're going to charge you for delivery. They're actually charging you to store it. I'm going to see how it works out this year. I'm not saying it's going to be it's a heck of a convenience. That's the main thing. Safety. Taking that right out of the equation, I'm not even going to be in it. But we'll see. If we don't make as much money, I may go a different route. I don't know. But a lot of guys will tell you the components alone you're gonna increase. And that was another thing I meant to bring up earlier. When I started mixing that TMR, went up 6 pounds per cow, but the components went through the roof. I mean, 3.8 butter fat was all I could really achieve out of them silos. Because you got it when you're chopping hay, you got to be dry when you're putting them in there, even the corn silage. Well, with this bagger, shoot, man, I'm putting that up. Not as green as if you were piling it, but that stuff, that feed coming out of these bags, dynamite, man. I mean, you're juicing that bag a little bit, but hey, the greener that feed, the more milk they're giving you. They love that stuff. It's like seasoned steak. Opposed to just dried out beef, but kind of a funky analogy, but anyway, you can get the crop off the field faster, and you cut it, chop in 24 hours. You're not plugging a pipe. Just in the numbers, like I said, I'm going to pay for it all off in 14 months, maybe sooner. It's not even about the money, it's about the safety. Real safe what I'm doing now. It's I don't know how much safer you can get it. I mean, anything can happen anywhere. Because I was battling with my younger brother on that. He'd make that point. Anything can happen anywhere at any time. I said, yeah, but man, when you're up in one of them things, you can't even barely see what the heck you're doing, for one. And two, you can't, you get fat, you get slower, you get older. And maybe you guys, leave me a comment if you think I'm missing something. But how much does one of them cost to build now? I mean, you tell me how. I don't know. I haven't priced one, but they can't be cheap, man. Price of concrete, price of labor, price of anything anymore in this country is expensive. But my thought was, like I said, Dad asked me recently, he said, how that worked out pretty good. He's like, it's been working good for you, hasn't it? I said, he doesn't really know. He's on the farm, but he's not doing it. And I said, man, it's worked great. That's what I was saying. I got to do something about that grain. Do something about that next. That's just a pain in my butt. I don't need that headache. I'm just trying to set it up so I don't have to do it if I can't do it at some point. You guys, if you've been with me since 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, I went down with arthritis. Freak thing. I mean, you're looking at me now, back full strength. Hope that never happens again, but freak deal. Salmonella poisoning, and then I got crippled up like 2 months. You were no way in heck you were climbing and doing anything. Your joints, it was my wrists, my knees, and my ankles. But that was the first beginning of like, man, I'm gonna have to do something different. But I just wanted to fill you in. If you're thinking about making a change, don't be afraid to do it. Like right now, next couple weeks she's thawing. She's kind of muddy. But man, when we first started bagging, so I got a base here. I was bagging, man. We just put them bags on the edge of a field. Didn't really know what we were doing. Man, I had 2-foot ruts, I felt like. Now this isn't really nothing, but I guess the message is, don't be afraid to make a change, especially if it's gonna make you safer. Initially, it costs us some money, but every day it's paying for itself. Cows are bigger, stronger, healthier. You've seen the milking video. I'm not bragging. I don't really know cows like you think I would know cows. I know how to do the work, but there's some real cow guys out there, them dairy farmers, and they're looking and they're saying, man, when I was feeding my mineral, I had some mineral issue here. Cows were getting milk fever and stuff because I was trickling on a Gandy, or I was like dumping it in, and it was just, it was pretty half-ass. That was how I did it. Now, Just getting it put. There's a portion getting put in every mix. Feed them twice a day. And then again, I'm not bringing up that you got to have a tractor. That 4230 I'm using, Dad had that since 1989. And then you got to have a backup tractor, and I still got my backup mixer, so I'm not, like I said, that was $6 grand. That might have been $5 grand, but that's in the shed. That's a backup in case we have to work on that Penta, something catastrophic. So there's cost, but what I like about machinery is machinery is machinery. It's always going to have value there. You start sticking money in those things, you'll never recover it. It's gone. It's kind of like a, and I know you're gonna, some of you guys aren't gonna like this, but it's kind of like a milking parlor. I'm gonna eventually do something with the milking parlor, don't get me wrong, but when you do that though, you never get much out of it. You know, you just use it. When it's done, it's done. It's like these freestalls I'm buying penny on the dollar, and a bulk tank. We bought that second bulk tank, you know, I think it was $1,000. You know, that stuff just doesn't hold its value, and that's one thing I'll tip my hat to my dad. You know, he didn't know how long we were going to make this work. You know, 20 some years ago, we were in our early 20s. He was on his way out of it. He was going towards crop farming and buying newer equipment, and thank God he did. The price of land, that was an extremely smart move. Dumping all his hard-earned money, him and Mom, into, and they did some barns, don't get me wrong, but he was buying anything he could. I mean, just to make it work, and thank God, land is out of control right now. You guys know that. But he set us up pretty good, so now it's my turn to get the dairy back up to snuff. Best we can afford. Take it for what it's worth. Leave me a comment below. Tell me if you think it was a good idea. I'm telling you how it's working, and it's working great. So I guess it was a pretty good idea. There's always things to be improved. This spring, I'm gonna try to line up the silo man again, tear this one down block by block too. Then I'll cut another door in there. A couple unexpected things that did happen. Once we tore this silo out, we knew we were gonna be driving in, but the ventilation and the light alone, that was a pleasant surprise. Any bad surprises? Just probably you're using more fuel. Obviously, you really weren't using any fuel. But pleasant surprise was time. You know, it would take me till 11 o'clock to get these things fed out of these silos every morning. I got them fed by 8 a.m. and then a batch remixed and ready 20 minutes later. Sitting there it's just, I can't emphasize how well this worked, the time factor, and I said it, stress, mental, just physical, but time, man. I get this stuff done, I come right in there, we're hauling up manure, and they just can't believe it. Man, this guy's already, holy cow. But I got to get a couple more guys trained on doing it. But so on that note, hope you had a good Christmas, and I hope you have a good New Year. It's going to be another challenge. Every day, every year is a challenge, but it's an opportunity. So let's make the best of it, and everybody take care. You guys remember too, this year, did a lot this year. We hiked up every one of these freestalls. And you remember, if you've been with me, they were all, I'm talking 80% laying backwards. You see them laying the right way. This was a nightmare. But I attacked it, you know, little by little. Took me months. Took me 4 or 5 months, but finally got them correct. And it's amazing when you do stuff right, how it works. I mean, I don't know, maybe it don't always pan out that way, but lately it's been, feel a pretty good accomplishment when you can do something right. So hey, on that note, take care. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Stay home. Get up early. Milk them cows. God bless. See you next year.